everybody. Welcome to part one in the series that I've entitled Substance, Truth versus Hype Marketing in Wet Shaving. This first in the series, I'm going to go over kind of some beginning introductions to someone new coming into wet shaving, when the first thing that you have to have before you can engage in traditional wet shaving is a razor. So basically, where do you start from there? Well, I've had a lot of guys over the last couple of years ask me, what's the razor that I should start off with? Well, that's a relative question. Younger guys have very soft, pliable, thinner beards, whereas older guys generally have tougher. Once our gray starts coming in, our beard gets thicker, the hair follicles gets tougher, it's more brittle, it's more wiry, so it takes a little bit more aggressive shave to be able to give us a good shave versus a young guy just starting that doesn't naturally, by genetics, have a very thick, tough, hard beard. In general, there's been a lot of what's called beginner razors. The DE89, the Edwin Jagger 89 has been known for many years as a good beginner razor, and it is. It's a razor that has kind of been copied in basic design by a lot of other razors. The truth be known, and here we're talking truth, there are very few places anymore that are making razors. Not the traditional double-edged style razors. There's no place making single-edge razors other than the specialty ones that use injectors or the Feather Super Pro or professional style blade. Most razors are made, the cheaper razors like the Weishi and some of them that you can see on the internet, they're made in China. There are a lot of razors that are made in Pakistan and India, and there's probably some other places that make a lot of them. But truth be known, many of the razors that you find out there, including some name brand razors, and I won't go into all of that, are made at the same place that some of the less expensive razors out there. There's Cadet, there's Sabi, there's Pearl. Essentially, those razors are the same ones as Parker's and some of the Razor Rocks, and a bunch of other ones. Maggard, they're all made at the same place. It's just the difference that comes into it is quality control. What makes one razor more expensive than others is the branding and quality control of that final product, and they may tweak a little bit, some fine little detail. For example, here we got a Maggard razor. It's basically a general copy of the DE89. And hopefully you can pick it up. You can kind of see the profile. This is a Parker razor. If you look at it, they are very, very similar. Turn them on their sides, there's a little bit of difference in how they look, and hopefully I'll get it so that you can see that. There's a little bit of difference right along here in the profile. Well, it doesn't take a whole lot to change that design, and Parker used to have a very bad reputation related to even their three-piece razors, and it was all a quality control issue, and I think they've corrected that over the years, because this is pretty good quality that I see on this Parker razor that I have. one of the beginning razors that I recommend many times for people is an open comb razor. An open comb razor like this Parker. I think it's the 26C. And why do I recommend an open comb for a beginning shaver? Well, an open comb allows for the more lather to remain on the face as you move the blade across it. It allows for more protection, more slickness to remain on the face as the blade encounters it. Consequently, you can have a little bit more aggressive razor design with an open comb than you can with a solid straight bar style razor, because this straight bar scrapes the lather off before the blade even gets there. Consequently, a straight bar razor, as you're learning, you have more risk of potentially getting nicks and cuts and irritation if you're pressing too hard or you don't have the right angle. So, that being said, what razor do you use? Well, the first place you need to start is, what razor do you have? There are a lot of people that have the old style razors sitting in their drawer or sitting in a box somewhere or at grandma's house under the sink that you can go salvage and use. It's not going to cost you a thing. Is it a better razor? Probably. Or at least just as good, just depending on what it is. Now, there could be a wide range of variants of what those vintage razors are. But you got a vintage razor, use that as your starting razor. Use that as a benchmark of where you start. Now, what kind could you get? Well, the basic ones are some of them that are going to be around that aren't as old as others. We got a couple of super speeds. This is a super speed black handle and a super speed red tip. These were made in the late 50s, 60s, made by Gillette. There was a whole bunch of them introduced. There's all different kinds. This is a Gillette adjustable slim style. This is a Gillette Fat Boy, the 195 razor. They're basically similar design. They were created back in the early 50s, 60s. They're good razors to start with. Each individual razor that's a vintage razor has a little bit different profile, a little bit different angle. Each razor that you pick up is going to have possibly a little bit different angle of attack. One of the biggest problems that you're going to encounter as a beginning shaver when you're moving from something like this is a Gillette Fusion. How many blades? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freaking blades on this thing. 6 if you count this one back here. It tilts, it swivels. So you don't have to worry about your angle because it's going to follow your face. These things have got very little gap in between them. They get clogged up a lot. You can press down hard with this and it's not going to cut you that easily. You can get cut if you run your finger across it. But as far as shaving goes, it's much more difficult to cut. They designed it for idiots. Let me say it again. They designed this for sheeple idiots. Let that sink in. They don't want you to think about what you're doing. Nor do they really care whether you have comfort when you have your shave. They want the $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 a head. I'm talking the head of the razor every time that you have to replace it after shaving with it 3, 4, 5 times at the most, probably. Those couple of changes that came about in shaving. Well, let me go back. When you got shaving instruments, they all started off basically as a single blade. We got cutthroat straight razor. You shave one blade against the skin. Yeah, you got to be careful. It's not a safety razor. It is exposed. Consequently, it takes more time. You got to maintain the blade. You have to learn how to do it. The angles, yeah, you slip up, you screw up, you lose some concentration, and you're going to get cut. Depending on how bad you screw up, depends on how bad you get cut. But a lot of guys are using these types of razors, getting fantastic shaves, and really enjoying the experience of the most traditional shaving method, which is with straight razor. Right after the turn of the century, 1910 I believe it is, there's a little gadget called a Durham duplex razor. It's a razor that was introduced to have a blade that fit in and slide in there. It's two-sided, so that you could have the straight razor type of shave, but it had some safety factors in this comb. You didn't have to worry about nicks and cuts. They also had a little attachment that you could use it just like a straight razor, just like a shavette. There was also around about that time another move, and it's called a valet razor. This valet razor allowed you to run a strop. I don't know if you can pick it up or see it. You run a strop through here and you strop your blade. Back then blades were carbon steel. You could potentially renew the edge of that blade. Well, this was one of the early efforts to move to a safety style razor. There was also, even before the turn of the century, a design of razor called the gem type razor. And this was a razor, this is never ready. Where's my gem? There it is. This is a gem. It uses an SE straight razor style blade. They come in these little packets like this. I can get this out. Yeah, I can't get it out. But it is basically a single edge. It's a scraper blade. And if you have one of these types of razors like this sitting around your house, yeah, you can use them. The blades, there are only a couple of different options at the most. There's carbon steel, there's the scraper blades, but you need to specifically buy a blade that is made for shaving. You go out and you buy something at the hardware store that you use to scrape paint with. It's got an edge that's not designed to be comfortable shaving, and you are going to rip your face up. Period. Don't do it. So you need to ask and find out where. Persona makes blades for these. Still here in the United States, they're available. Along about 1904, a guy named King Gillette introduced a blade that is basically the same general design as this. The DE double-edged, two edges, not two stacked on one side, but there's two sides. That's called a DE, double-edged blade. He designed it. This is a 1904, one of the very first razors produced. Open comb design. It's a moderately aggressive shave, and the race was on. It really took off at World War I whenever there was gassing going on in the trenches and the guys needed to keep a shaved face to be able to fit the gas mask on. King Gillette sold bunches, millions of razors, hundreds of thousands of razors to the military. And that began the trend and the tradition of being clean shaven and the need for being clean shaven. Gillette produced a lot of different razors over the years. Here's another version of the Gillette open comb from that era. It's in a brass, just basic 3-piece razor. Later on, they did more fancier ones. This is a new improved. That was in 30s, 40s. It progressed. 1934, the first twist to open style. It's an Aristocrat. Twist to open with an open comb. It wasn't until later that the twist to open razors were basically only the straight bar. Things progressed and moved. There was a long comb that was produced back in the 40s, 50s. This is what's called the Gillette Tech, which is a very good beginning razor for somebody. All different types of razors. You're going to find a razor that you like, but that very first razor, you need to stick with it, whatever it is. If you buy a $20 razor off the internet, one of those micro ones or whatever they are, fine. It's a decent razor. It'll give you a good shave. It may not be as sturdy and last as long as some other razors, but it's a basic piece of equipment and you can learn the basic techniques. Don't spend over about $30 for a razor when you're first starting. Use the first 30 to 90 days of daily shaving to learn the muscle memory and to develop the technique, the process. Yeah, you're going to get nicks, you're going to get irritation, you're going to get potentially cuts occasionally because you haven't learned how to move from shaving with something like this, which is one of the later versions of the Track 2. And they put all kinds of new gimmicks on them. Here's this lubricating strip. Look at it. Tell me what you think about the lubricating strip. Is it a gimmick? Or does it do anything for you? Never understood the lubricating strip. Where is it? It's behind the blade. It doesn't touch your face until after you've shaved. Why do you need to be lubricated after you've shaved the whisker? Because you got to go over it multiple times, even though you got multiple blades. Think about it. The average traditional wet shave is 3 passes. With the grain, across the grain, against the grain. Many people get near or close to baby butt smooth with those 3 simple passes. 3 times does that blade encounter your face. 3 times does that blade potentially irritate your skin. 3 times does that blade exfoliate and move the outer dead layers of your skin. Exfoliate. Talk about that. You know, there's a movement going on right now where a lot of women are shaving their face as an alternative to waxing and just simply to exfoliate. Why is that? Because women have noticed that men that shave have better skin than they do without having to do all the cosmetics and stuff. Why is that? Because we are constantly exfoliating our skin. How did I get off on that? But just to mention that, yes, there are women in wet shaving, in a traditional wet shaving, and you are very, very welcome, and we welcome you and want to help you out in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know a whole lot about your needs, but there are a lot of principles in traditional wet shaving for men that apply to you too. So if you're here, listen up, learn. You got questions to help you out as much as you can. Okay. But think about it. 2-pass shave. You're not going to get all the whiskers even with 2 blades with a single pass. You're going to have to go over it again, or you're going to go multiple times in the same spot, right? So, if with just a simple 2-bladed razor, you go with the grain and then you go against the grain. How many passes is that? 4. Let me say it again. 4. You use this 5-bladed beast. If you just have to go over it twice, how many passes is that? 10. You've multiplied by a factor of at least 3 the chances of you being irritated and getting a poor shave, because you've exposed your face to a sharp, razor sharp implement that many times in one shave. Don't hear that in any commercial, do you? That's the hype. The truth is, and dermatologists back it up, is by using a single edge razor, whether it's an injector, Schick injector like this, or whether it's a DE razor like this, or whether it's a very new razor, the Mongoose, like this, using a single edge razor blade is healthier for your face. It results in fewer ingrown hairs and fewer dermatological irritations than using a multiple blade. Dermatologists will say don't use any more than a double blade razor, a 2-track razor. Any more than that, and you're irritating your face. I've written my blog. The way I'm going to do these is I'm going to write my blog and I'm going to do the video. The two are not going to be exactly the same. There's stuff I covered in the blog article I didn't cover here, and vice versa. Starting out in traditional wet shaving, you need the instrument. There are a wide variety of things that you can choose. When you start out, get one razor and use it for quite a while, 30 to 90 days minimum, before even thinking about going to something else. And the only way I would say think about going to something else is if you've got one of these vintage razors, like something like if this vintage razor was in your drawer. This is a Gem Micromatic Open Comb. It's the beast. It's one of the more aggressive shaves there is. I wouldn't recommend that a beginning shaver use this unless you've got a very hard, dense, tough beard. So you still need to do a little bit of research, even if you got a vintage razor, just to see if it's something that you can potentially use. Google, internet, it's your friend. Go try to find the answers before you go to the shaving boards and start asking a bunch of questions. Find out and do your basic research. And then if you still don't understand, then seek out some help. And that help is there. And two, a word on software. And software is your shaving cream, your shaving soap. Don't worry about that when you're first starting. Just use what you got, use what you can find, even if it's this crap. Go ahead and use it. The secret, though, that I'll give you a point, and there'll be later things that I talk about pre-shave techniques and products. The most important thing when shaving is the preparation of your beard. The preparation of your beard means that hair follicle needs to be engorged with water. It needs to be hardened. Let me say that again. Hardened, not softened. There are some very popular people in the traditional wet shaving world says you need to soften your beard. Use conditioner on it before you shave. They're idiots. You put a conditioner like you use on your hair. What's that do? It softens your hair. Okay? How does it soften your hair? It puts a coating on it. It fills in all the little micro abrasions and things, and it makes your hair smooth. What's that doing to your hair? It's not allowing water to penetrate into it very easily. It's putting a protective coating on it. You do that to your beard, and you're going to get a terrible shave. The hair follicle, the outer coating, must be stripped away. The properties of basic soap removes that outer coating of the hair follicle. That allows water. There's little bitty fibers, kind of like a little bitty tree leaf, that opens up and allows water to get in to that hair follicle. It plumps it up and enables it to stand up so that the blade can come and shave it off. Otherwise, it just kind of flexes as that blade comes over and cuts not this way, it shaves it long ways. Basic, simple. Read the old 1905 document, Shaving Made Easy. It's available in PDF. It's a free document in many places. Some people charge a few bucks for it. But Shaving Made Easy back in 1905 explained that process and hadn't changed. So, consequently, wash your face. Use something like a Noxzema, a deep cleansing type of cleanser. You can leave that on your face, before, let it set, let it rest, put the lather on your face, let it rest for a couple of minutes, let the moisture in that soap product soak into your hair follicles before you ever shave. You'll get a much better shave. It'll be smoother. You'll have a lot more slickness in your shave, regardless of what shaving cream, shaving soap that you use. Another just brief pointer, starting off, if you've never used a shave brush before, use a cream instead of a soap to start off. Creams are far more easier to learn how to use than a soap. Save that enjoyment for later on. So, I've rambled on. This has turned out to be far longer than what I anticipated it to be, but I want to cover the information and try to be a little entertaining as we go along. I'm not sure what the next one is going to be. Probably, I don't know. I won't even commit to it. I had originally planned for this to be 1 week after the introduction. If I had time, you guys, your responses to the introduction video inspired me to go ahead and do it now, so that I'll be releasing it sometime Sunday evening, the 1st of March. So until next time, have some good shaves. Work it hard at being happy, because happiness is more attitude than anything else. But definitely be safe. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.